In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Live Paint tool, the Live Paint bucket actually. The Live Paint bucket is located within the Shape Builder tool. It's to the right, or I'm sorry, to the left of the perspective grid, and it's called the Live Paint bucket. And we're going to use that. But before we start with that, this is my drawing. I created this drawing with my paintbrush tool. So if you go in, I zoom in on those things and I just press Z to get to my zoom tool. I just used my brush tool. I didn't make any objects. Everything is an open path. I just kind of drew out the drawing. Before I can use my brush tool, I have to make sure that these paths overlap. So they're not necessarily objects. If I zoom in, they're still not closed. There's still two separate paths, but they're overlapping. You want to make sure every path overlaps. So my suggestion to you is just to zoom in, go through with your direct selection tool, and make sure that those paths are overlapping, or at least touching. If they're not touching, you're going to have some issues coming in the end. Okay, so I went in and closed all those paths. They're not necessarily closed them. They're not objects anymore. There's still all these separate paths there. I just overlapped and made sure all those paths were at least touching. And now I can go in and use my Live Paint bucket. To do this, I have to select the artwork that I want to live paint. And again, all of my paths are closed. Actually, I'm going to go in and close my two nostrils here really quickly. So now officially all my paths are closed. Control 0 to zoom out to the artboard. Now I'm going to select all of that artwork. Oh, I didn't get this bottom piece. And I'm going to go to my Live Paint bucket with that selected. Again, Live Paint bucket is located here. Hover over it. It says Live Paint bucket, or you can simply press K on your keyboard to transition to your Live Paint bucket. When I hover over my selection, it says click to make a Live Paint group. So I did that, and now look what is happening here. Now, when I point this arrow over here, everything that was a paths where the paths closed and created an object, and they're not necessarily objects anymore. It's still a Live Paint group. There's still a bunch of paths. I can actually go in and add color to. So if I go in and let's see, I select my, I'm going to take my stroke off and select let's go with an orangey color, and go to my Live Paint bucket. I can now go in and fill all of those pieces. Now I've gone in and added color to everything. I added a few extra shapes on top. They're not part of my Live Paint. I just added those shapes just for extra detail. I've colored everything. I took off the stroke so it's more soft. I just selected it and I just completely just took that stroke off. I'm not always a fan of strokes with my artwork. So there it is with strokes. There it is without. You can go in and edit your Live Paint group after you're done with the direct selection tool. It's not going to affect where your live paints are, but you can select a specific stroke and say I want to have a stroke on just this one path here. With the direct selection tool, I can do that and change the stroke to just that one path. But that is your Live Paint group. Sometimes that comes in handy if you are more of a drawer and you want to draw your design out rather than build it. It's not always the best option to go for, so you just kind of have to pick and choose when you use it and when you do not.